Welcome to Nevertheless Podcast with Bidemi Mark-Mordi, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you would learn how to discover your essence and live more powerfully.
Hello there. You're welcome to the Nevertheless Show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. And I'm really excited as this is our final episode in the Ask and Answer series. And of course, I have a really amazing Bidemi Mark-Mordi.
It's amazing. It's going to finish very soon. Hello, John. It's good to be back. And hello, guys and listeners. It is the Nevertheless Show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. And indeed, the Ask and Answer series is coming to roost today. But let's see what John has for us. John, what do you have for me?
So we have questions that are centered around work-life flow.
Work-life flow.
So I want to start off this series with a question. A punchy one on that.
Oh.
I wanted to ask, has there been any major challenge that you have faced in your journey? Maybe you're dealing with life and work, and how did you deal with it?
Strictly work, right?
Yes.
There's been many from the days that I worked with people and then I worked for people and when I started to run my business. But all in all, I think that most of the challenges are around the quality of people we get to work with. But one that stands out for me is not even about the quality of the person I worked with, but it was in hiring someone I shouldn't have hired. Now, this particular person had applied to be my executive assistant, and when she came, she ticked all the boxes in skill and disposition to do that work. But I had a check in my spirit. I'm spiritual, so my spirit being would always reveal to me those things. I had a check in my spirit. But she also came with a really soppy story of where she was at. That by that check in my spirit, I shouldn't have employed her, hired her. As a matter of fact, after she left, I did her for like 2 weeks. When the HR person that hired was going to formalize the process, reached out to me, I actually said to her, I don't think we should hire this person. But even she was emotional about the hire. And she said, oh, let's hire her. She seemed like this and that and that. So ultimately we gave her, we gave her an offer letter and she joined us. And the very first day she resumed, she went all out. In the time that she worked with me, honestly, she was bending over backwards to please me, to do the work. But I just couldn't connect with her. Something was off from the first day. I should not have hired her. Again, it's not anything to do with her skill, her disposition, her personality, but she was not the person I should have hired. And that, kept us going. I tend to be a bit uncomfortable with, especially when I know people are relying on the pay they get from working with me. I tend to be uncomfortable with firing. So letting her go was one of the toughest things I had to do. So from the very first week she resumed, I knew I shouldn't have. But I kept her the first month, I think the second month, and by the third month, by the few weeks, I wouldn't even go to work. The thought of going to work on any certain day, just knowing that she was there, made me stressed out. Just the thought of stressed me out. Now she was consistently sending messages. What would you have me do? And we had tons of things to do, but I just could not. I could not connect with her. So eventually one day, I beat this bullet and summoned the courage and I drove to the office. And as I came in, I said, I need to talk to you. And then she came and sat in front of me. And I started the conversation by saying, I'm very sorry. I should not have hired you. There's nothing wrong with you. And honestly, there was nothing wrong with her. But I think that it just wasn't the time for me to work with her. Maybe in future, something may come up and we'll work together. But that wasn't the season for us to work together. And the moment I started to share with her, she said to me, I know. Even I have come to realize that I shouldn't have made the transition that I made. So ultimately we agreed, paid her off, and she left. And we did try to keep in touch, but I haven't been in touch with her for a bit. But for me, it was stressful because he was a thoroughly good person. And I was thinking maybe if I didn't hire her, she would have continued her search for a job. She would have found a better fit. And then to bring her in and now have to make the decision to let her go. It was a bit stressful for me. But they say you learn, right? I learned my lesson. And I promise you I won't make that kind of mistake.
So if you're hiring right now, so you look out for that connection first.
Yes, I have to have some peace on the inside of me to be able to hire. Because we're talking about work-life flow. So some people think, you shouldn't, how you feel does not matter if the person has skills. I'm not going to be working with a ghost now. Working with someone. I have to know her, like her, and trust her. And people don't have to be bad for you to not be able to bring yourself to that level of connection. Her role was to be my executive assistant. If I didn't have these three elements, how would I work? So yes, it makes sense to me going forward that I must have some connection. I must be at peace with having people work with me. Yes.
So from how you're spoken just now, it lets us understand that you have a team of people that you work with.
Yes.
You have the back end. So I want to ask you, how do you, or what systems or structures do you put in place to ensure that these people are delivering as they should?
See, let me not lie. Of course, I'm sure if you've been following the Nevertheless, you know that I'm horrible at supervision, right? I am horrible at supervision. So I've done this a number of cycles, but every time that I want to tackle that, what I do is look for someone who does not mind the small bits of the picture, the details, and there's someone who has that capacity to supervise, because it doesn't make me a weak leader. It just makes me one who knows where I'm not strong enough. I'm not great at supervising. So, of course, that I have to hire a CEO so that I can get the work done. Because otherwise, we will continue to try to work. But not everybody, I used to think that everybody can work without supervision, because I can deliver on anything you ask me to. As long as I say yes to it, I'll find a way to deliver it. But I quickly found out in my leadership capacity that not everyone can lead themselves effectively like that. So the main thing is to bridge the gap, put someone between me and them and the team so that the work gets done.
That's a very intelligent strategy. I must commend you for that one. Okay, so I want to ask another question. Has there ever been a time where your work or your professional growth has impeded on your own personal growth?
Yes, especially in from the angle of ministry. When I started the new ministry, the expression of ministry that I work in now, I had to give it my all and give it maybe 150%, because I was a woman making a foray into what was a man's world. And I had to do many things to ensure that people saw me from the gifting and the grace of God on my life, rather than from who I was, my gender. So it took a lot out of me in doing that. And thankfully, I'm an empty nester, which means that I don't have little children at home to have to cater to. But I have my husband, and that did rock our relationship a bit. It wasn't to the point of we were throwing things at each other, but just the laser focus with which I came at this stage, because it didn't matter to me whether I did it for 1 year or for 10 years. I just wanted to be able to give it my all. And in giving it my all, it impacted on that part of my relationship for a bit. But we're back on track. And then, yes, those things get to happen. And to sit here and pretend that they don't happen would make me inauthentic, and I'm not that person.
Okay, so thank God you said you were back on track. So I want to ask, what did you do that helped you get back on track?
Constantly having conversations. Constantly having conversations to let my husband see, and he too with me, to help us see that we're in a peculiar season of life. And to get it right, these things have to work. So part of what I did and I still do is to bring him into what I'm doing, at least by informing him to say, this is happening, that is happening, I have to deal with this, I have to deal with that. It was a brand new vista for me. So having tons of conversations, that's number one. Number two, knowing when to stop and just pay attention to what he's saying. To say, okay, I hear you. To say, okay, I see you. To say, okay, I hear what you say. And just try to adjust. I'm not sure that I'm all able to adjust 100% yet to all that he's asked for, or he asked for in that season. But I think the effort was good enough for him. So, yes.
Okay. All right. So we will go on a break just now. All right. And
John drives a hard bargain, yes. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. I'm never doing the question and answer with you again.
Are you seeking to clarify your purpose and profit from it? Then, get into the Purpose University this year. A 10-week e-course for people of faith who seek to clarify their purpose and profit from it. The DNA of purpose has been put together to help you understand what purpose is about and discover what your journey of purpose might look like. Register today at yourpurposeu.org, where Bidemi Mark-Mordi would hold your hands to discover your purpose and live powerfully.
Hi, my name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi. I'm a wisdom coach and kingmaker. I'm also the author of the book, The Theology of Work, Discerning God's Mind about Work. In times that we live in, that things are rapidly changing, the face of work is changing and the future of work continues to change. But as much as these things will change, there are parts of work that must be the same and be stable if we would deliver on what God is called us to do with work. And it's to this end that we have curated the Theology of Work Boot Camp happening at the Ibom Icon Hotel in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, starting the 13th of June through to the 15th of June 2024. Our resource people are Anna McCoy coming in from the United States, Mr. Nia Desoya, who is the MD, CEO of Fifth Gear Consulting, Coach Sam Obafemi, who is the MD and CEO of Zika Africa. This is calling all HR practitioners and employers of labor, or even employees who are people of faith and want to discern God's mind for work. The dates again are from the 13th through to the 15th of June 2024. All other details are in the link in my bio and the caption as well. Please join us. God's mind for work is the same from time to time and from age to age. The dynamics may change, but work in its core will never change. I do hope to see you there because I would love to shake your hand and hug you. Thank you. God bless you.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life is just simple. Do not worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi Mark-Mordi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, Nevertheless. Nevertheless is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of Nevertheless and other books written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, like The Wisdom of the Seed, Honor, The Theology of Work, and so much more from a bookstore nearby, or call 080-905-63555, or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order. I guarantee you will make it. Nevertheless.
hello there, you're welcome back to the Nevertheless Show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. And this is the concluding part of our Work Life Flow episode.
Of the Ask Answer series, right?
Yes. Okay.
Hi, people. Welcome back. This is, like John said, is the second part of the final episode. And John.
Yeah, so let me start off with this question. Given that you run a number of things, in short, I don't think I'm able to say I know everything that you're able to Right. So I know you'll have to deal with a lot of decision making and sometimes they are tough decisions. So I want to ask you, how do you deal with making these tough decisions at this different level, especially when it's pressured?
Okay, number one is that I know that I'm the only person who should make the decisions. So I can't delegate it. I can't farm it out. That compels me to have to make
the
it.
decision.
Okay,
Yes.
so I know that this one, there's nobody that's going to help you make it. So make sure you make it. The other thing that I tend to want to do is I've learned never to make valuable decisions in high pressure times. But the thing is, I make my best decisions under pressure.
Oh, okay.
It's how I am. I make my best decisions. I'm more creative and innovative when it comes to decision making when I'm under pressure. So, for instance, my staff will see me show up at work. If normally I show up at work at 8 a.m., when I'm under pressure to make decisions, I show up at 7. I do my best work under pressure. So, I show up and then I make the decisions. But I always try to cover the basics. And for me, the basics are simple. They are not as scientific as many people want those decisions to be. I want to know that my decisions do not harm anyone. That's number one. My decision does not harm anybody. That's the first thing that I want to know. Number two, I want to know that my decision is the best one that I could have made in the moment. It may not be the best decision for all time, but it's the best one that I can make in the moment. Number three, I want to make sure that the decision that I make is one I can stand behind no matter what. For me, them as owning them. I want to be able to say I made this decision, I considered all my options, and I arrived here in this moment. It is the best decision that I could have made. Okay? Then I also want to ensure that I can, when I make my decisions, I want to be clear that I can come back and rescind them. If I need to say, oh, I made a mistake. I'm not infallible. I don't want people to think that, you made this decision, is cast in stone. If I make it and I find out that maybe upon execution or trying to execute, it's not going to yield what it should yield, I will step back and say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't make the right decision. So these are some of the things, but chief of it is I really do well under pressure. I don't shy away from tough decisions. And I'm that person who thinks that tough decisions, wake up and make them. Yes, the tougher they are, the more important for me it is to make them quickly. So I don't want to let tough decisions drag, because when they drag, then they make me feel bad for longer. So I make them, and then we'll see where we go from there. All my decisions, stellar. I wish they were. I've made some decisions that didn't pan out. Don't ask me for one. I can't remember one off the top of my head right now. But I've made some that didn't quite deliver what I thought they would deliver. But I mean, you win some, you lose some. Actually, John Maxwell will say, how we say it is you win some and you learn some. So you learn a lesson. Yes.
Okay, so I want to ask you, are there specific things that you do that help you, stay in touch with everything that you do, in sense that nobody's dropping anywhere?
I think the best thing I can say I do in that regard is that I know my power time. My power time is early in the mornings. So if I want to have a bird's eye view of all the things that I do, I wake up at 3 a.m. My brain is working like that. I can remember everything that if you ask me at noon or at 2 p.m., I won't remember. So even though I recognize that my team may be sleeping at that time, I tend to leave. And I think most of them who have worked with me long enough now know not to. They don't need to respond at that time. But I put the information out, or the question or the answers or whatever is required. I put it out at that time. The other thing that helps me, I think I spoke about this last month, is the power of a to-do list. Yes, to always have a to-do list and follow through. And let me just confess here that in these last 2 weeks, I've had an item on my to-do list that I keep moving. I keep moving it and I keep moving it. So it's not like I'm that special like that, you get? But I do deploy a to-do list. And some days more than other days, I do better, at my to-do list than other days. But I have my to-do list to guide me. The third thing that I have now learned to do, I've not mastered yet, is to ask for help. I've learned to ask for help, and that has brought tremendous value and change to what I do.
That's really lovely. And I wanted to just quickly comment on the to-do list thing. You said you have something on your to-do list for 2 weeks. And I'm saying that it didn't drop. This is 2 weeks and you're still able to...
Yes, I keep moving.
So if the list...
Ultimately, we'll get them.
Exactly.
We'll get done.
Yes.
I just need to gather the energy, the courage, and the bandwidth to get it done. It will get done. But I also, guys, I'm able to move it because it's not a pressure. It's not time. Yes, high priority thing. But the truth is, it's there and it's been there for 2 weeks. And really, if I want to do it, it won't take me 30 minutes. So maybe I'm just lazy concerning it. And maybe this is my commitment to say I'm going to get it done.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask another question. So I want to ask you, how have you dealt with setbacks if they've ever come to you?
Oh, yeah.
How have you dealt with them?
Well, a long time ago, not too long ago, about in this last decade, I've come to the place where I realized that you cannot win all the time, yes. But more importantly, I've come to realize that setbacks may be in the moment, but they don't last for all of time. And because I walk with God, I'm learning to trust that if there's a setback in the moment, God may most likely have something better down the road for me. So, yes, because then otherwise, what will I do? I would always be strung out and I'll always be sad. But if I see it because the Bible says, commit your ways unto the Lord and He'll direct your path. So if I've committed my way to the Lord, which I know how to do and I do, and I still hit a setback, it's not man that's taking something from me. It's not people who have done stuff to me. It is where I have to go through. It's a process that I probably need to learn through. So if you have that perspective, it tends to keep you going when all else doesn't look like it's working well.
Matter of fact, you started touching upon the next question that I was going to ask, which is dealing with the emotions that such setbacks, come with. You've talked about how that first of all you have a perspective change that okay, this is happening, it means there is something that's going to happen along the journey. But in that moment, how do you deal with how you're feeling so that it doesn't affect?
Initially, I used to just bottle the things up and continue to go. But I learned quickly that isn't healthy because the day I finally burst is a volcano. If I erupt, it is bad. So these days, I just talk about how I'm feeling. And really, it doesn't matter who I tell how I'm feeling. I just say it and I move away. So I say this is how I feel because it's how I feel. To think that leadership means denying your feelings is to get yourself set up for trouble. So I'd say this is how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'm not even telling the people involved because that would take too much out of me. So it's not gossip, but I can tell my husband, this is how this makes me feel. And then sometimes he knows what to say, sometimes he doesn't. But I do that so that I can detoxify and I'll keep going. People say, especially if you're a female leader, your emotions will not factor in. But our emotions are also how we are the great leaders that we are.
That's true.
When we make an emotional connection with something and we make decisions, it makes us stand out. So why are my emotions good for when I thrive and they're not good for when I'm not thriving? So my emotion is me. I'm one person. That's why it's a flow. So I just learned these days to channel my emotion properly. And lately, I just channel it into creativity. Just becoming more innovative. Telling myself we can do this and do it even better than we're doing it before. And just let that lead me and see where it takes me.
One of the things I'm beginning to learn from what you're you're sharing with me right now in this podcast is many times it's not just about the externalities, the physical get this done, must be get done. There is, let's say, a spirituality or a God.
I think that because we are believers, I'm a believer and I'm not making any apologies for that. But because we are believers, isn't it important that we tap into the edge that being a believer gives us? We should tap into it. So that's why I don't understand why people will say, when I come to work, I just do work. It's one work. It's one life. Your work and your life are the same thing, isn't it?
Whatever you want.
Yes. So I know that some people can't boast that their work and their life are the same thing. But for me, because I do the work I'm good for, and I do the work that I love, my work and my life, the one doesn't end somewhere and the other starts. It's one flow. And because it's one flow, I'm able to own my emotions. I'm able to own I need to perspective higher than mine, and it's not human. I need to be able to say that's how I make my decisions. And I shouldn't be penalized for that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I'm listening to you here and two things come to my mind. The first is the title that you know, one of your books, Theology of Work. I think, hey, if you've not read that book, by all means, make sure you read that book. In short, can I tell you something? I think that book with me to work every day. It's always in my work bag. I'm at work sometimes. I just bring it up. I just bring it back because it realigns, my mind towards work. And of course, we also have a boot camp too.
Yes, we have a boot camp coming up in June. I think June the 13th through to June the 15th, if I'm correct, yes. And it's going to hold at the Econ Resort Center. We have our facilitators, Mr. Nia Adesonya, Coach Sam Obafemi, and my own coach, Anna McCoy, and then, of course, my humble self. And all of this boot camp is built around the content of my book, The Theology of Work. So it's actually called The Theology of Work Boot Camp. What do we want to do there? We want to spend time to resource people of faith, in HR and employers and even employees on God's mind concerning work in an ever-changing environment that we're in, and things are changing so rapidly. There are certain things that must not change, and work is one of them. Because work, the one who puts the system called work in place does not change. So even if our processes change, there are aspects of work that must never change for us to be effective. So yes, if you'd like to be, actually I think you should be a part of the Theology of Work, you can click the link in my bio, check somewhere, and you would find all of the details, yes?
Final question, what would be that one counsel that you say is golden that you give to anyone who wants to ensure that they have a very smooth work-life flow?
Do the work that you are optimized for. Do the work that you are good for. Now when I remember, I don't know if it was you and we were having this conversation, you were saying, okay, yes, it was you in the last month's episodes where you were saying, what if the work I'm good for, is not paying me at that time? And I said, build a bridge. Do the work that you can do now, but know that ultimately the greatest rest you would have, the greatest wealth you can build, and the greatest many things that can come into your life will come from the work that you're good for. So do the work that you're good for, the work that flows from the inside out. If you do work that you're good for, John, I have found out that you can have at least 8 expressions of the work that you are good for.
Wow.
Yes. So isn't that great? Where people are looking for streams of income, you are streams of income already, just because you decide to do the work that you are good for. So if there was any counsel I would give is make sure you do the work that you are good for. Yes.
Thank you so very much, Ma. It's been 4 weeks of insightful knowledge, 4 weeks of you answering our questions, and I'm super grateful. Thank you so very much. And to you, our viewers, hey, I know you've enjoyed the ride, so hey, leave us a comment, like the stream, share with your circle, all right, and of course, do well to register for the bootcamp that we talked about, and do well to also follow Bidemi Mark-Mordi on all social media platforms at Bidemi Mark-Mordi, and we look forward to seeing you in our next series.
Yes, God bless you. Thank you for keeping a date with us. This has been the Nevertheless Show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. And it's been such an amazing privilege to bring this to you. If Jesus tarries, next month we'll be here with another series that would also add great value to you. Remember that when you discover your purpose, you live a powerful life. You are not as weak as you think. As a matter of fact, you're stronger than you think you are. Go there and be all that God has called you to be. God bless you and have a great rest of your week. John, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Nevertheless. For more information and resources, call 080-90563-555 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimark.mordi.com. Don't forget, discovering your purpose helps you live more powerfully.